Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Cafe Bagheri. Do I have a special treat for you tonight? This is my very favorite Italian dish. I've got chicken spiedini for you. A breast of chicken wrapped around a tasty, pungent, wonderful piece of Asiago cheese. This is a sheet pan dinner that you can cook very easily for 2 people or for a crowd of 10, 12, 15 people. So stick around, you're gonna love this one. Before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and like this video. It helps us with the algorithms on YouTube, and we want to get the word out and get as much coverage as possible. I appreciate it if you do that as a personal favor to me. Thank you. So chicken spiedini, the main idea is to roll a breast of chicken, a butterfly breast of chicken, around this delicious, hard, pungent cheese called Asiago. You all familiar with Asiago? It's a hard block of cheese. You can find it in any grocery store. So what we're going to do is we're feeding 4 people with this recipe right now. 2 breasts of chicken. I'm going to butterfly them one at a time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut right in the middle of this thing, and then these flaps and extra pieces will just fold in when we are wrapping around the cheese. So we're basically getting 2 half breasts. We're not butterflying it to get expanded completely, but like if we were making chicken fried chicken, we would be expanding it completely. But here we're just getting 2 half breasts to wrap around the cheese. So you basically stay in the middle of the breasts. We've got 2 half breasts. Now I'm going to pound this to get it as thin as possible. See, this side is thicker than this. I use a little small Ziploc bag, a sandwich bag or a gallon bag if that's what you have. Just a meat mallet like this. There you go. Don't use this abrasive side of your meat mallet because this breaks up the meat. You don't want to break it up. You just want to thin it. There you go. Now we turn it around. Flip it over, do some more. That's what we're looking for. That's the first half. We're going to cut it right here in the middle to make sure they're separated. Look at this. We have 2 half breasts, very thin, ready to wrap around some cheese. Okay, I think we're done with that right there. So that's 3rd and that's 4th, okay? So the next step is to put some seasoning on both sides of these breasts, and then wrap them around cheese. So what I'm going to do is I use some kosher salt here. And make sure you wash your hands, especially working with chicken. Wash your hands between applications. We're going to put some pepper, garlic powder, and some Italian seasoning, dried herbs. This is dried herbs. Actually, I grew all the herbs in my backyard. I continue to use the last empty commercial container that I had. As you can see, I've covered the logo, but this is actually dried herbs from our own backyard garden. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to wrap these guys around some hard, pungent, tasty Italian cheese, okay? Let me run some more water. As you can see, I clean as you go. So there are 2 kinds of cleaners in the kitchen. There are those who clean as they go, so there's less of a mess around you, and there are those who make all the mess and then clean at the end. Which kind are you? Please comment below and tell me which kind of cleaner you are. I want to hear from you. Okay, so we have this Asiago cheese. I'm going to cut the liner away from this. Here's what we're going to do. Each one of these half breasts that we cut is going to get a piece of cheese about the size of your index finger, a little thick, maybe your thumb. This is a little bigger than I told you. So I'm going on the healthy side. So this is 1, 2, and then 3 and 4. These 2 are a little longer. And pieces this size are used in this dish. You will see how and where, okay? In order to hold the chicken roll together, we're going to use toothpicks. Here's the problem with using toothpicks when you're wrapping food, rollets, any kind of meat or item that's going to go in the oven or in the pot, and then you bring out, you need to remember how many toothpicks you used, because God forbid if you forget to remove one or two, you could end up hurting your customers or your guests or your family members. So here's my strategy. I have counted 12 toothpicks, and I know I'm going to make 4 chicken roll-ups. So my plan is to use 3 per roll-up, and when I'm removing them after I've cooked them, I'll remember to count them and make sure that I've removed 12. That's an easy way to make sure you're safe. Check this out. So we're going to put down each chicken roll-up. I'm going to start from the thick end and roll it up. Look, we take 1 piece of Asiago cheese. Remember the flaps and side pieces that are loose ends I told you about? We just flip them over and make sure they end up in the middle. And then go like this, as tight as you can. You with me here? You go like that. That's your roll-up. Now you get 3 of these toothpicks. Put one right here and make sure you go all the way through the cheese. We'll put one right here at one end and one. And see, this is an extra flap. We'll bring it up and do this. Look at that. And then we're going to put it right here and go to the other ones. Remember, the thick side is going to be the first one that we start with, so it ends up in the middle. Why? Because it's easier to secure the thin side on the outside, right? If you leave the thick side out on the outside, it's going to be harder to secure it with a toothpick. And don't worry about a piece of cheese being exposed like this, because a little bit of cheese oozing from each side adds to the sexiness of this dish. You do want that. So it's okay if cheese is exposed and it oozes out. So we're going to 2 of them, and this is going to be our 3rd one. Now we got a formula here. Cheese on the thick end, the flaps go in like this. There you go. See, this is like kind of shredded. So what I do is I kind of fold a couple of pieces together. Aha. Okay, so that's your chicken. Before we leave the cutting board, I'd like to cut the rest of the cheese. This is a sheet pan dinner, right? The chicken and the vegetables are going to be peppered. They're going to be accented with some dots of Asiago cheese, and this is where they come from. We make little cubes, as if you're making a cheese board or a cheese spread for your football game or whatever. That's the size you want, about 1/2 to 3/4 inch cubes or pieces. There's no rhyme or reason. Just cut them like that. We're going to spread this over our pan over the vegetables. You will see in a minute. This is our cheese. It's going to go in our bowl, waiting to be used. We have about 1/2 cup of olive oil in our frying pan on medium-high heat. I'm going to give this about a few minutes to come up to heat. While we were filming, I had this on very low heat so that it's ready to go. So now it's on high heat. We're going to bring our chicken rolls here. Guess what we're going to do to this? We have our production line here set up. We have a bowl that we're going to put about 1/2 to 3/4 cup of olive oil. I bet that's about 1/2 cup. Let's go with that. This is panko breadcrumb. You can go with regular breadcrumb or Italian flavored breadcrumb, but I like panko because it gives you more crunch. But since we do not have Italian flavored breadcrumbs, what I'm going to do is I am going to put a little bit of my Italian seasoning in the regular panko. There you go. Just mix it all up. A little bit of salt will not hurt. Hold on. A little bit of salt in that will not hurt. There you go. So just mix it all up. We got olive oil. We got panko. Here. We'll dip each of the prepared and rolled chicken breasts in olive oil. Make sure you get the extra oil off of it and then roll it in the panko. Don't forget the ends. It doesn't have to cover 100%. You just pour some over and push it in so it adheres to the breasts, right? And then shake off the excess like you did with the olive oil. Then we put it in the oil. All the 4 chicken rolls. Now, let that go and I'll wash my hands. You want to saute each side of this chicken for about 2 minutes. Now, it's going to be hard to get each side down against the bottom of the pan because of the toothpicks that will prevent you to get complete coverage of all sides. But don't worry about that. Just turn what you can. The toothpicks will prevent you from getting every single possible side browned. You get about 1 or 2 minutes on each side. Remember, this stage when you're sauteing the outside of the chicken is not meant to cook it all the way through. You're just giving it some color and some char and some nutty, oily flavor outside to make it better. But it's going to cook in the oven in a few minutes, okay? See, that's what you're looking for. Kind of a brownish golden color on each side. And you can use the other rolls to kind of rest them against. Look at that. Now, one thing you want to do with all of them for about 30, 40 seconds each, cook the ends. Just stand them up. Look, if you have to hold it for 30 seconds, so be it. Okay, this guy's ready. I'm going to put it in the pan, right? This guy needs a little more cooking on this side to get some color on it. This guy needs some cooking on this side to get some color on it. See these breadcrumbs that are kind of dark golden color? Don't throw them away. In a minute or 2 or 5, we're going to be chopping up our vegetables, onions, bell peppers, garlics, some artichoke hearts. They're going to come into this pan and be fried in the brown bits and flavorful oil that's left from your chicken rolls. So don't get rid of that oil. All right, this is ready. And we can call this one done. Now, our chicken rolls are ready. We're going to park them on one side of this pan, out of the way, because we're going to have a bed of sauteed vegetables, slightly sauteed vegetables. The chicken rolls go on them, and then they go in the oven. Now we're going to take care of the vegetable business. We're going to push this oil off the heat. So now we're going to cut up our vegetables, okay? We got 2 colors of bell peppers. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut it in the middle and then remove the center pod and seeds. There you go. Seeds are removed, and I'll just use my hands to remove the membranes in the middle. This is what I need. Give it a couple of cuts and remove the center pods. Same with the red one. We're going to cut them like this, spears. All right, we got all of our bell peppers cut. Now, we need bell peppers and onions. Usually, and almost all the time, I use white or yellow onions, okay? But today, I had some extra purple onions, red onions. So I'm going to mix the colors to make it a little more aesthetically interesting and colorful, right? So there you go. You cut both ends off like this. Take the outer skin and paper. I usually just take off the whole outer layer. I know we're losing some usable onion, but I just don't want to jack with that. Slice them like so. There you go. About 1/3 of an inch thick slices like this. And make sure they're separated as they go into your holding bowl here. Do the same with your red onion. That's what we're looking for. Goes in there. We're going to skin some garlic cloves. Just put some rough cuts into them and throw them on the pile of onions that you already cut. So now, tomatoes. You could use 2 medium-sized Roma tomatoes, but I like cherry tomatoes for this dish, right? They kind of have that wholesome single identity as a little tomato, and they spread on your pan when you're putting it in the oven. They give a better presentation. You just need to poke them each to release some of their juice. A little bit of puncture in each cherry tomato allows some of the steam to escape. All of your tomatoes and vegetables. The last vegetable to go on this wonderful pan is artichoke hearts. Now, if you have access to fresh artichoke hearts or artichokes from the local market, by all means, but first steam them to get it cooked halfway through. I use them out of a can, artichoke hearts. This is a 14-ounce can. I drained all the juice out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut each of them in half or quarters. Since the bigger ones you cut in quarters, so you have them in 4 pieces. So check this out. All of our vegetables, including artichoke hearts, are now in this pile over here. We're going to increase the heat. So we got our brown bits in the oil heated up again. We're going to now use the same oil that we cooked the chicken in. We're going to use it for our vegetables. Look at this. The pan is a little too small, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. We're going to turn it up, turn it over. So we have all the brown bits and breadcrumbs from before down there. They're going to, see, as I turn the vegetables, you see that? The breadcrumbs and the brown bits end up on the vegetables. That's very essential. So we're going to let this cook for about 5 or 6 minutes to get some browning of the vegetables on all sides. In order to get the vegetables browned a little faster, I've increased the temperature closer to high to get some char on the vegetables. Once every minute or 2, you keep turning the vegetables. So you don't really need to cook them through. You're just giving them a little char. We're going to add some flavor to our vegetables, like we did the chicken before we wrapped it. Some pepper, fresh cracked black pepper. For any Italian dish, more herbs are better than less herbs. So more of my dried Italian herbs. Just turn this some. A little more on the other side. Salt. This is pretty much ready to go in the pan. I'm going to turn off the fire, bring this over, check this out. Right? Now what we're doing is we're going to bring these guys back on the bed of vegetables. What I'll do is I'm going to shake this around. Now, next thing I do, remember the breadcrumbs from preparing the chicken? I'm not going to let them all go to waste. So check this out. I'll sprinkle some on the vegetables. Not all of it, about a couple of tablespoons. Remember the olive oil that we used for the chicken? What's Mediterranean cooking without more olive oil? Now the last thing, remember all the Asiago cheese that we saved. When this dish comes out of the oven and is ready to be served in front of your guests, they would like, I promise you, they all like to pick at it. The best thing to pick at is these little melted cheeses of Asiago, planted strategically with the vegetables. This is going to be my serving platter tonight. So that's why I'm making sure the aesthetics and the distribution of everything is correct. You will see why. Believe it or not, this is ready to go. We have preheated our oven to 400 degrees. And if you followed all the instructions, 35 minutes should be enough for this. Right here. 35 minutes. So we've had our chicken and vegetables in the oven at 400 degrees for 35 minutes. Here you go. You see vegetables are pretty much ready. Chicken's ready. So at this point, the chicken's cooked, the vegetables are ready. Cheese is melted into the vegetables. I'm going to pull the toothpicks out of this. You could have pulled the toothpicks when you were, after you sauteed the chicken. I just left them in there. But here, remember, the rule was we had 3 toothpicks per roll. And use any kind of tool. Don't burn yourself. You want to count them to make sure you got them all out. That's 3. I use these little pliers, but whatever tool you can use. We got 12 toothpicks right there that we're going to get rid of. This guarantees that nobody's going to hurt their mouth or their teeth with the toothpicks. So we're very close to serving this awesome dish. We're going to move the chicken roll-ups from the pan, right, on the board. Let them rest for a few minutes because we're going to be cutting them. Then I'm going to kind of redistribute the vegetable, see, all over kind of evenly. Look at this. So our chicken and vegetables, chicken spiedini is ready. We're not going to transfer it to a serving plate. We're going to use this frame that I built myself some years back for a standard pan, a cookie sheet that goes in the oven. Look at this. This is my own design, handmade. So you basically take the same pan that came out of the oven and put it on your table to serve in front of your guests. And this is your chicken spiedini spread. There you have it. Our chicken spiedini, chicken, vegetables, garlic, Asiago cheese. Thank you for being with us today. Please like this video, share it with your friends and family. Do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and hit that little bell button so you and I can keep in touch as always. And come back and see me right here at Cafe Bagheri very soon.